What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Another episode of Big Five Pod. Cope, it's the double nickel, episode 55 here. Very happy to be back here. A little hiatus this summer. But we're going to be back probably throughout the rest of the season into May, June, every week, multiple times a week, coming at you again. The season starts. So we are back. I'm, of course, your co-host, Kyle Morello. That's Jake Copestick. But first, we are here with a guest, the one and only Temple point guard, Hysier Miller. Hysier, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, guys. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course, of course.
Pleasure.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
All right. First of all, it's still summer, so wanted to ask you before you get back on campus, how's your summer going? What have you been up to?
My summer been great, man. I've been enjoying it. Just hanging out in the gym, going to the beach a little bit. Just trying to find a way to do some things outside of basketball. But for the most part, it's been great, accomplishing a lot.
I love that. What beach do you go to?
In Wildwood, all the local beaches down Jersey.
Okay. Okay. Just had to ask because we're Seattle guys here.
Y'all Seattle guys, okay.
Yeah, we love Seattle. All right. First question I got for you.
Yeah.
Obviously the biggest news of Temple's offseason was the coaching change. Adam Fisher comes in here from Penn State. I think things are going to look a lot different from what it seemed like at his opening press conference and other times he's talked about this offseason in terms of style of play. What do you think about Coach Fisher so far and the impact he's had on you guys?
Coach Fisher, he's just been great since day one. He has a consistent message, just getting our group together, getting us connected, just playing the right way. I think he's been a great motivator, just allowing guys to play like themselves. Just with all the change and all the new guys coming on board, just letting guys make mistakes and playing through it, but also encouraging guys to just be better and embrace your mistakes, things like that. So.
Right on for sure. Yeah, it seems like he's real good with people, connects with people real well. That's what I want to ask you about next. Kind of a twofold question here. The first being with Coach Fisher. One thing that stuck out to me, Steve Settle got interviewed when he committed there, and he talked about he wanted to play for Temple, play for Coach Fisher because of how good he is with people, even down to stuff like as small as getting to know the janitors' names, getting to know everybody that's on campus. So before I start to talk about his style of play, what he wants to do in practice, what's kind of his personality like? Is how good is he connecting with people? We've seen him talk at his press conference, other outlets, but you personally that sees him pretty much every day, what's his personality like? How good is he connecting with people?
He comes in every day and just with great energy. He don't let nothing affect him outside of basketball. He could have 1,000 things going on, but we will never know. Like when he with us, he just encourages guys and just opens up, like kind of tries to fill you out, see what your personality like while sharing things about himself. I mean, he calls you like, at random times during the day, in the evening, just trying to connect, just checking up on guys. So I think he has just like a great personality in terms of getting guys to gravitate to him and wanting to, work hard for him.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And one more before I actually get into what you're doing on the court, but for you, you did put your name in the transfer portal. And when you want to talk about Adam Fisher and guys gravitating toward him, it definitely seemed like you did that. You had your name in the portal. You obviously kept Temple open as an option, and then you decided to come back and play for him. So I want you to kind of walk me through that process. You put your name in the portal. Temple had a pretty long coaching process relative to other schools this offseason, but they ultimately land on Adam Fisher, of course. So between him getting hired and you committing to Temple, what was that like? How quickly did he reach out to you after he got hired?
The day he got hired, I actually missed the appointment because we still was connecting, with faculty and our athletic director and just keeping us updated along the process. And I couldn't make it down to that to the here that he got hired. But as soon as he got hired, he probably reached out within the same hour, maybe something along the lines of that. And then he just said, reach back out to him and he wanted to talk. So like the following morning, we just, we sat and talked and just filled each other out. And I think just from that one conversation of him introducing himself, his vision for me, his vision for Temple, and all the things he wants to accomplish, and just a small conversation that ultimately made me change my whole decision. Being in the transfer portal for over about like 2 weeks, but I just think the way he goes about things and his vision, and that's the biggest thing that made me want to play for him.
Yeah, he seems like, just from hearing him talk that he would be a great guy to play for. So really, really love to hear that. And I know Cope, you want to ask this too. We can kind of ask this together here, but in his introductory press conference, he, mentioned that you guys are going to be hoisting threes up. Maybe not so like crazily, obviously things are controlled, but you guys are going to be running and gunning on the court. And one person that he mentioned was going to be starting to take some threes was Emmanuel Akpomo, big fella. Has he done that in practice yet? Is that something that you guys are going to be unleashing this year?
He's been shooting here and there in some drills, but I'm not sure if he'll shoot them in the game. I think he got the capability to make some, but I don't think that's what we looking to get out of Emmanuel. But all the other guys got the ultimate green light. I think a lot of guys spent a lot of time this summer shooting threes and just getting better. I think that's one thing we focus on, just shooting out of some of our actions and getting comfortable with how we going, play and what we going to do this year. But it's definitely been a lot of threes, high volume, fast, and just trying to, get out in transition a little bit more.
Love to hear that. Speaking of the coaching staff, Chris Clark, only holdover from the previous staff. Outside of that, every single person on the staff is new. How's it been not only getting to know, obviously, Coach Fisher, we've mentioned, but the entire staff that's, coming here?
I think the entire staff is really, really put together. Just all the additions, Coach Sugar, Coach Jordan, Khalif White, Ken Winter, everybody's just been great and been consistent with their message and holding guys accountable. And I think that's been really important because these guys are all new coming into our program outside of Coach Clark. So they might see things that, that we probably been, making mistakes on for a little bit, and they can easily correct or easily point out, and not just point it out, but kind of stay consistent about guys making that change. But I think our coaches is great. They're great motivators. They are super down to earth, try to embrace us, treat us like family in the short time we've been together. And I think that's really what's connecting our team from the top to the bottom. That all the players are fully bought in, but the coaches are making themselves, open to players to get to know them as well.
So perfect that you mentioned the additions coming into the program. Of course, we just touched on the coaching staff. You guys are bringing in a ton of new faces as well in the transfer portal. You have an exodus after Aaron McKee's dismissal, but incoming you have Howard Steve Settle, who played in the tournament last year for Howard, Matteo Piccarelli, who's going to fit exactly what Adam Fisher wants to do, coming from UMBC, Jordan Riley from Georgetown. He didn't play a ton, but certainly has some athleticism and some upside. Another guy, Quante Berry, Sam Hoffman was a late addition. And you're bringing in a freshman from Philadelphia and Zion Stanford. So with all that being said, that was a whole mouthful. Who's playing well in the summer practices? And of these newcomers, is there one or two guys in particular you think are destined for a big year?
There's a lot of guys that have been surprising me just the entirety of the summer, but I think Jordan Riley is going to have a huge impact for our team, and as well as Steve, and then like Zion Stanford, he's going to surprise a few guys. Just him being a freshman, him learning the ropes, but he's ready. I think he's going to make a big impact on both sides of the ball. But I think Jordan Riley and Steve Settle are due for big years. I think those two definitely are going to do some great things here.
Okay, and I want to ask you one more about Steve Settle before I get into what your role is going to be on this team. So obviously, it's no secret. Adam Fisher wants to play spread out. He wants to pull threes. Steve Settle is a bigger guy who can step out and hit a three. Are we going to see a lot of small ball? Is Steve Settle going to be playing some five, and you're going to play five out and really space the floor?
I think Coach Fisher is willing to do anything to help us win. So if we got to put Steve at the five and play a little bit small, I think that'll work in our favor. I think we get a lot of advantages from mixing our lineups up, but we got we got good size as well collectively, but we don't really have that true five outside of Akpomo. But I think that it'd be a great to see what that looks like, us spreading guys out and taking advantage of the mismatch and shooting a lot of threes because I mean Steve shoots the ball at a really, really high level. Like I think he's a nerf of 40 shooter if he get the looks that he's been getting.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I would say so far he's probably my favorite get you guys have had in the portal. He's been a very, very solid player at Howard the last couple of years. I want to ask you about your role now. As you talked about wanting to stay at Temple because of Adam Fisher's vision for the program, and yourself as well. Now you have Damian Budd and Caleb Paddle, who did a lot of scoring for you guys, leave. Out of nowhere, even though you started every single game, you're the elder statesman on this team. You're the seasoned vet now. So both as a leader and as a starting point guard of this team, what's Adam Fisher asking of you this season?
Nothing different than what Coach McKee asked me. Just play good defense, lead, get the guys together, but take it to another level. Like really have us, connected and lead this group. I feel like last year that was like the biggest task, trying to lead that group, and that's something that those coaches instilled in me since day one. But as you continue to grow in this world, so I'll be able to, you know, get better at leading and things like that. But also, be more aggressive offensively. I mean, put the ball in the hole, make others better, but kind of get, find yourself, find your offense a little bit more. That's one thing he been emphasizing, just shooting the ball, getting to the rim, just being aggressive the whole game and not passing up any good looks. Like if you got a good look, just take it because he knows that I'm putting the work in. I'm shooting the ball. So he just wanted me to be confident and just be ready.
Now, a follow-up to that too, like being able to have that green light and like not even just you, but everyone on the program, like what does that do for at least you personally, for your confidence, knowing that like you have the freedom and the trust of your coach? And I'm not saying you didn't before, but having the trust and freedom of your coach say, hey, you're the leader, go make plays, go play winning basketball. What does that do for your confidence on the court?
I mean, it does a lot because you're just out there playing basketball. He gonna live with you making the right plays or the wrong plays, and that's the conversations we had so far, just over the course of the summer. Just that I'm gonna make mistakes, but he believes in me to make the right plays. So I think it does a lot for my confidence. It just helps me feel more comfortable with the work that I'm putting in because if I can see the play, I can make it, whether that's 3 steps behind the 3-point line or whether that's all the way to the rim. So I think just having that trust and knowing that I can make those decisions, I think that's going to be a big for my game and just showing everything that I can bring to the table.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We're going to come back to this year in a little bit, but I do want to ask you a question about last year. Obviously, the signature win, maybe even of college basketball in the regular season, was you guys going down to Houston, upsetting the number one team in the country in a absolute dogfight of a game. First Temple win over number one ranked team since John Chaney was the head coach. Excuse me, I'm trying to talk too fast. But what was that like for you guys going down there and beating the top ranked team that people had already pinged as a Final Four team?
It was honestly a great experience, because a lot of people might think we did something really special that day, which we did with beat the number one team. I mean, one country, team in the country. But honestly, we just followed our game plan. We stuck true to what we practiced and what we seen on the film, and I mean, we executed. And then gave ourselves a chance at the end. But I mean, it was great though. Like it was, everybody was excited. Everybody was happy for one another. Everybody was playing for each other, and it was just like one of our highs of the season. Where it's like, I mean, we all worked together to get that win. Like one single person or a few guys couldn't have got that done. I feel like from top to bottom, the coaches prepared really well for that game, and the players made plays. Like you got Corey John Cooch with a big stop at the end, and that
Yeah.
was essentially one of the biggest defensive stops of our season. So
Yeah, I mean for sure that was it's a real nail biter there at the end, but you almost kind of beat Houston at their own game. Houston loves to play physical and get get muddy play. Even if it's ugly, man, they still win. And you guys out toughed them. And Core, John Cooch, and Jordan had huge blocks at the end. So I got two more questions for you before we get into some high school stuff and we talk some other Big Five news. You mentioned Khalif Wyatt coming into town, and not only is he one of Temple's greatest players ever, but I think something that's really interesting about him is that he was a guy that was butting heads with Fran Dunphy at one point. He wanted to transfer. He wanted out. He stuck it out, much like you did. You could have left after a coaching change. You decided to stay at Temple and stay home. So to have him back, the guy who's been through struggles, but then out on the other side of that, came out as one of the greatest players in Temple's history. On and off the court, how great is it to have a guy like that?
it's really great just because like he's not too much removed from the game. He just was playing overseas not too long ago, and like he knows what's going on, and also he knows how to relate to the players. Like he's just a good person, but he really he really knows how to get his points across and get guys to play. Like he see guys having a bad day or see a guy not really into it, he gonna hold you accountable, but not in a way that is gonna put you like in a negative way. He gonna uplift you and make you want to work hard and make you want to do more. So I think his presence has been really good because he's also helping guys, with their games and putting the ball in the court, just slowing things down and explaining things that he sees and things that he saw. So I mean, he did a lot of scoring, so you could just imagine how much help that's been for some of the guys. Just seeing things that you might miss by going too fast, or seeing things that's probably not really in your game, but you could add it. And I think that's been like the biggest attribute of him so far, just being with our team.
Yeah, right on. Hey, you're absolutely right. That guy did quite a bit of
Did a whole
scoring.
lot of scoring.
Not many guys were better than him at doing that. So I'm gonna ask you one more thing about Adam Fisher and specifically about the history of Temple basketball. I've heard him say a bunch of times, whether it's at his press conference, he wants former players to come back, which on social media we've seen a bunch of that happen. But he's also so big on trying to instill like the history of Temple basketball into you guys. Now you're a Philly guy, you know all about it. You've been around that pretty much your whole life. But for these incoming guys, these transfers that maybe aren't from the area, maybe that aren't too familiar how great Temple was with Harry Litwack and John Chaney. What
Mm-hmm.
is he doing? Whether that's showing videos, other stuff like that, bringing former players in. How hard is he? How hard is he working to try and get you guys to understand just how great of a program that you're playing for?
He like we're bringing the former players in. That's been big. Just having them come back and tell their story, and then sharing experiences of recent players, sharing stats, sharing things that Temple has accomplished in the recent years, and just always remember that like the foundation here is already built and already set, and the tradition is already it remains, and that's the biggest thing he tells those guys. He reminisces about some of the past teams that had success, and a lot of the people that came to visit us this summer was on teams that went to the tournament 3, 4 times out of just being in college. So that's a big deal. So he just getting guys to understand, you know, the true history behind Temple and how things were operating then, and also just letting them know like nothing's changed. It's just our turn to add to the legacy, opposed to rebuilding or going around. And it's just our turn, Team 128. Like it's our opportunity to add more greatness to what Temple already's done, and of course, getting us back to where we need to be on a consistent basis.
Yeah, and that's something that unfortunately has been lacking the last, I don't know, however many years, 10, 15. I mean, just consistency of that hasn't been there for a little bit. It's important. Temple's a very rich basketball history. And I know that's something that you talked about before. You said Temple was your first college basketball game. Now obviously being a player, you've played many games at Liacouras Center and other places too. Did you always just have like an affinity for Temple? Did you always want to be an Owl? What was it like, along with maybe some other memories you had growing up around college basketball in Philly?
I actually, I was growing up, I really was a Duke fan because my cousin, he had spent some
Oh,
time
here we
playing for
go.
Duke.
He's
But
a Duke fan.
um, no, not in that regards. Like I always had a nick for Temple basketball. I always came to the games. I always knew the history, and like we always watched Temple basketball. It's just that I didn't know I would play here one day. But I always was familiar with like a lot of the history that Temple had. And honestly, since I've been a part of this program, I feel like Duke not my favorite team anymore. I'm like a Temple Owl. Like honestly, like I love Temple
Respect.
sports. I support our football team, our soccer team. Like I feel at home here. So honestly, what Duke got going on, that don't really affect me anymore. That was when I was a kid, but I think more so, I'm a Temple guy now.
There you go. There you go. No, I was just messing with you because Cope here he's a major Duke fan. I wish he would also grow out of that too, but apparently not. We're still stuck with that, but it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, I do want to talk a little bit more about Philadelphia basketball in general. Obviously you transferred to New McGrady. You played under Carl Argyle, who coached for
Mhm.
25 years, won the Catholic League half those years. Obviously, I'm sure he had a big role in your development as a basketball player and as a man. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what he meant to you?
Coach Carl, since the first day I met Coach Carl, I came in Newman for an open gym, just played with the guys, and he just ever since that day, he just took me in as one of his own. I mean, he's been a great mentor just throughout that process. That transition period from Martin Luther King to Newman Goretti just helped me get comfortable. It's also instilling confidence in me and just picking me up. And like he always been like a father figure to me. I mean, we only spent 2 years together, but it felt like almost like I was there all my years, just like the type of relationship we built. He always cracks jokes and just that playful guy. But he ain't really. He'll get mad sometimes, but it was more so he'll get angry because he knew like what we was capable of doing, and sometimes we didn't always have that, but not often because we won a lot of games. But the games where we didn't, or the moments in games where we was playing like like we wasn't supposed to, he'll always hold us accountable and, you know, and just and pick us up, you know, letting us know that it's not the end of the world when you make mistakes. And that was the biggest thing I felt like I learned from Coach Carl, just like when you lose or when things not going your way, just how you're gonna respond to that adversity. Because he'll always say, like, this is not the end of the world, it's just a few baskets, whether we down 10 or 15 or whether we up 10, like you still gotta treat it the right way. So
Yeah, right on. And hey, I mean, you guys certainly won a lot of games. You were a state player of the year, and you even won a Catholic League championship. And let's talk about the building that you won that championship in, the Palestra. It's the building, you know, obviously it's the premier building in college basketball,
yeah.
the premier building in this city when you talk about high school basketball in Philadelphia. So the Big 5 formats changed a little bit. You guys played the Palestra twice last year. You were there for the doubleheader. You were there soon after to play Penn on a Saturday.
Mm,
No games for you guys this year, though. I mean, at least up to this point, not that I know of, not that I've seen
yeah.
from the schedule. But I want to ask you, playing in that building, you know, growing up, I'm sure, like when you were coming up through the high school ranks, like you wanted to play there, and you won a Catholic League championship in that building. You played other games, like we mentioned. How cool is it to win a championship on that floor, but just to play in a building like the Palestra, where so many greats, Kobe Bryant, Will Chamberlain, the list goes on and on. What's it mean to play in a building like that with that much history?
I'm grateful, honestly. I got a chance to play in the Palestra about like 6 times in my career, a few times in high school, a few times in college, and it's been great. I mean, winning the championship in that floor, one of the, you know, that's a memory I'll never be able to forget. I mean, we worked really, really hard to throughout the summer to get there, and then seeing that come into like fruition my first year in the Catholic League, that was great. But the Palestra, I mean, it's second to none. I would say like that energy in that building, the people that come out to support the Catholic League at Final Four and championship game, it's unreal, honestly. And it's something like when you look in the crowd for a quick second, you'll soak it in, but being on that floor is like it make you just got a certain energy behind what you want to do out there. And I feel like if you get an opportunity to play in a Palestra, like that's a big deal, and you want to bring your best shoes that day.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll agree with you 100%. Only played pickup with nobody in the stands. Obviously, a far cry from what you've done. But you know, the only two times I've ever seen that place sold out are for the cat or for high school basketball championship games in the Catholic League. I've never been there for a college sellout, which is crazy to me. But no, you're absolutely right. It's amazing how much support there is for the Catholic League, which I think is the best high school league in America. And there's nothing better than it's even though it's packed, it's hot, you can't hear the PA system. There really, really is nothing like it. So I want to ask you, Hysier, about a couple of things off the court. I want to talk some NIL, yourself, the Tough Fund. You've been doing a lot of things. You have a basketball camp coming up. I want to ask you about your book, though. You just had a book come out recently about your upbringing, your journey with basketball. How long was that in the works for? And ultimately, how long have you wanted to do something like this?
Um, I always been a good writer. I feel like throughout school, and you know, I feel like I always had the capability to do something like that. But the idea was unique when I talked to the guy that helped me out with the book, and just thinking about like bringing it to fruition because I have like a pretty unique story and just understanding like my story a little bit. But and then to touch on the gun violence portion, it was just like it's something that kind of been prevalent in my life or always been around, I would say. But like we kind of, you know, look past it. Most people don't understand like how bad it is or the direction it's kind of going in. I just think through basketball, like and all the experiences I had, like basketball has kept me away from a lot of like things that have been going on. And this being growing up in Philadelphia, and I feel like the platform that I have through basketball, that I feel like I can reach a lot of people, help the youth out, just trying to turn some heads and keep hope alive and also spreading awareness through basketball. Because if we can get enough guys on board, hopefully we can make a change because it's not only in Philadelphia, it's a lot of major cities. And it's starting to spill over to the basketball court as well, as you can see, just in Philadelphia and other cities where it's shootings on courts and people losing their lives playing basketball. And as athletes, I feel like we got enough time on our hands, you know, to take our craft and our profession serious. But I feel like sometimes we got to stand up for something that's bigger than us. And I think that's what my book talks about, just my experiences growing up in Philadelphia, while also talk about the gun violence, which has been affecting our youth for so long and it's continuing at a rapid pace. And it's not something that's going to stop tomorrow or next month or next year, but I think this could be a start to something. And I'm not only going to just talk about this in my book, I'm going to follow up with it with actions and ways that I can use my platform to actually, opposed to just writing a book, to be hands-on and actually do something about it. So
Yeah, like I absolutely love that answer. You're using your platform and using NIL not just to kind of put money in your pockets, which is great because you college athletes are, should absolutely be able to make money off that, but to do some really good stuff. You bring up if you want to do some hands-on stuff. We talked about you have a basketball camp going up, and you're definitely putting that into you're definitely implementing that. You're going to do a lot of hands-on stuff. So tell me about this basketball camp. Do you think you're going to have a lot of coaching and doing more community service in your future? And with the tough one, and you're doing events like this, do you have anything in the works? Do you have planned maybe for the fall, for the winter?
I just got the camp for right now because it's a big year coming up. I don't want to put too much on my plate, but I'm sure there's more opportunities in the future outside of the basketball camp to do some great things. But just right now, just the basketball camp in the book. But the tough one just been great, just really supportive and taking that next step and to helping us help other people and just being a part of the community. I mean, that's the entirety of the goal is just to help as much as we can and give back because I mean, you look at the like Temple in general is a big part of the North Philly community. And I feel like we could do more and we have been trying to do things in the community. And I feel like the more we continue to do things, I feel like we could help one person at a time, two kids at a time. I mean, just turn some heads, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it always starts with one, right? It always starts with one, and then try to help more and more people as you go. I think that's incredible, and kudos to you for wanting to be that change and willing to take the steps in order to make that change. I think that's really, really incredible. All right, couple lighter questions to end the show here. Food related questions. One that we ask every guest that we come on here. But first, Cope and I are both Temple alum, just like you will be. So need to know your go-to spot on campus to eat. Where do you like to go?
My go-to spot on campus. I think I go to Raising Cane's a little bit. That's
Good
kind of new
answer.
on campus, but Chick-fil-A was my go-to spot since I've been here, honestly. And because they got it in Second and Morgan, so it's easy to accessible both sides of campus. But it's a lot of good food spots on campus. What was you guys' favorite spots? What you would say when you was on
Ooh,
campus?
uh, I mean, Chick-fil-A definitely one of them. Richie's obviously is a classic for
Hmm.
breakfast. I mean, I usually went there for breakfast, but um, those two are probably two of my favorites. Cope, I don't know if you have anything different there.
I mean, I gotta agree with you on Canes. I love Raising Canes. Richie's is up there.
But thing is, I graduated in 2020, so that wasn't there when I was there. That
Yeah, we
wasn't
we
there.
have we got to go to Canes. Like when we're down the city, we'll take a stroll down memory lane, go back on campus for Canes. But I'm a halal guy. I love a lamb over rice, a
Yes.
chicken over rice. So I
Okay.
like Jimmy's lunch truck. Give me like the purple truck right in front of the student center, right there. I'm a big halal guy. I could eat that every day.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was the two halal carts in front of Annenberg Hall, which is a communications building right on there on 13th. Obviously, that's where I was posted up. All right. Now maybe the most important one though. We ask every guest this that's come on so far. Gotta ask you, especially being a Philly guy. It's a little stereotypical, but we're two big passionate cheesesteak guys. Gotta know your go-to spot. What is your number one?
Um, if I'm being quite honest, I gotta say like I'm getting a cheesesteak. My go-to spot probably is Ish Bibbles. It's probably not the best place in the city, but it's definitely top three, I would say. I like Larry's as well on St. Joe's campus.
Huh?
I can go for a Delisandro's cheesesteak. It's not that's one of the best options here, I would say.
That's a good one, but Cope, I think you might agree with me in this. I think it's gone downhill a little bit the last few years or
For,
so.
for Delisandro's?
Yeah.
I would,
Yeah.
yeah.
It used to be my favorite. Uh I don't know. I don't know if they did something like if they got different roll supplier or if, whatever the case may be. I think it's a little bit worse now. Not it's still really good. I'll still have it anytime I'm over there. But my favorite's Joe's on Gerard. That's my go-to
Okay.
spot.
I thought I hear as a South Philly guy, I thought you were gonna give me like Oregon steaks or like Phillips or something. I'm an Oregon
Oh
steaks.
no,
We love Oregon
those are
steaks.
really good steak spots. Phillips is pretty consistent. I ate there a lot, but I wasn't even thinking about those spots. But those pretty
My
good as well.
yeah,
There's a
my
lot.
three favorite steak spots are all in South Philly. So we had, when we were prepping for you, I was like, as a South Philly guy, I know this guy knows a good cheesesteak because he grew up right around a bunch of them. But good
Yeah.
answers either way. Good
Yeah.
answers.
Great answers. Great answers. All right. Well, I know I've been thinking about the cheesesteaks now, but back to basketball. Hysier, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Know you guys are gonna have an incredible year and definitely really excited to see what you and Temple Owls are gonna put up this year, what kind of numbers you guys are gonna do.
Thank you
So thank
guys.
you
I
for coming on.
appreciate you for just having me here, man. Sharing a little bit of me and just having this platform again. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Got it, Thank you.
pleasure getting to know you. All right, people, that's it for this one. Episode 55 is in the wraps. Cope, any final thoughts here before we get
Nope,
off?
we're all good. Hi, Seer. Thank you for your time. We
All right.
appreciate it. Great to have you on Talk Some Temple Hoops.
Thank you. Take it easy. Have a good one.
You
You as
too.
well.